Okay, so review from last week. We talked about two main ways to grow your business. One is grow what? If you want to grow your business, you got to grow what?
Yourself.
You got to grow yourself. All right, that's the main thing. So I'm gonna pass it off just to kind of set you up, Caleb. All right, dude.
Yeah.
Just to steal all your thunder there.
No.
I want to pass it off to you, dude, and tell us kind of how you grow yourself.
Yeah. So Joe asked me to share with you some books I've read, some stuff that helps me to grow myself. Just recently, the last 2 Saturdays, I read EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey. It's about growing yourself, growing your business, how to do it right, and how to do it effectively. EntreLeadership was a really good book because his main point is your business will never outgrow yourself. If you are stuck in a personal, if you want to reach a certain level of your business and you can't expect your team to outgrow you, and you can't lead a team that's beyond where you're at least effectively, where they're not just carrying you along for the ride. Just some little points. In case, has anyone read EntreLeadership? Yeah. So, knows what it's all about. But some just little points it talks about, and like pretty much all personal development books, is what a good leader looks like with a team member and what's actually effective when regards to team. So Dave Ramsey really likes the idea of when he's considering hiring people, he's trying to think of an idea of what a good employee looks like. And so he decided, of course, I want leaders. He gave some descriptors of a leader. He wants visionary people, disciplined, passionate, influential, and humble. No one would disagree. That does sound like good character traits. That would make a good employee. But he thought there was probably more to it, more to the equation. Of course, the book's called EntreLeadership. So there's 2 things he's looking for: leadership, which is just those 5 things I just mentioned, and then entrepreneurs as well. And entrepreneurs he described as risk takers, courageous, determined, motivated, people who are willing to learn. And so if you have just all leaders that aren't any risk takers or don't make any courageous asks, or don't make any courageous moves, you probably won't benefit as much as you could as if you took risks. Because you're only rewarded as much as you're willing to take risks. If you live in a little shell of protection, there's no room for growth. So those were his 2 points he's looking for in a person, not just leaders, but entrepreneurs as well. He calls them EntreLeaders. An EntreLeader he describes as people that are motivated visionaries. They're disciplined risk takers, and they're influential learners. So they show aspects of both, and there's a balance. And then he ties it into what makes an effective team, and it's people like that. It's team members, and he's really big on. He's got people who works for him, but he doesn't like to make them think of themselves as employees, rather as team members. And he would say himself that he's a team member rather than the boss. So when you guys have your hundreds of employees someday, it might be helpful to think of everyone as team members working towards a common goal rather than here's a structure, and then that way no one can really grow. Just logistically, he talks about setting goals, as a lot of books do, but his is more spiritual based because he's a man of faith himself, and he runs his business in that way. But he's also he's a faithful man, but he's blunt and he's a good leader. He does it really effectively. I really appreciate it. He talks about the difference between dreams and visions, because there is a difference. Read the book and you'll figure it out. That would be a bad explanation. And then other practical things like effectively hiring and firing people in a way that isn't just they're qualified for this position. They have good values. And he does crazy stuff like he wants you to give them your budget, and he wants to meet your wife and talk to them about if the position be right for you. spouse or whatever. I thought that was kind of weird, but he had some interesting reasoning for it. He talks about making contracts and decision making and what effective decision making looks like, and especially in the context of trying to be a faithful follower of Christ. So, awesome book. Listen to it. I'll probably listen to it again because I listened to it 2 Saturdays ago, and then I finished it up yesterday. Yeah. I'm not sometimes I'm not one just listening straight through, but it was really good. I definitely recommend it. The second one that I most recently read, Joe made me read it for work, is this book called Sprint. And Sprint's really good. It's written by a couple guys from Google Ventures. It's like Shark Tank of Google. It's kind of cool. But they'll get ideas pitched to them, and then they'll decide whether it's, I'm guessing they decide whether it's good or not idea, and then they help them through the process of executing it. The biggest thing I took out of it was their, what the Sprint is like, it's a 5-day thing you do to take an idea into a functional prototype in those 5 days. And so it's really fast-paced, team management and project management overall. But the main thing I took out of it that was really helpful was how to effectively brainstorm and not just sit at a table and try to think of something to do. So one thing they use, and it wasn't even a thing from Google, I think it was from they use these things called how might we statements. And they set a goal and they say something they want to accomplish, but they don't know how they're going to do this. Say they want to appeal their product to more 35 to 40-year-olds. A good how might would be like, how do we appeal to 35 to 40-year-olds? How do we appeal to people who own houses? Or how might we present our website in such a way that it's interesting to whoever? And so I kind of do that now. You just write on sticky notes, how might we, or how might I, how might whatever. Just to like think of, it's like a more open statement of what the answer could be. It helps me get thinking. It's a cool little book and tool of, if you're like me, you can read the whole book. Once you get to the end, you figure out that there's like a roadmap. Like you don't have to read the book at all. You can just cheat. You can just cheat and like it draws it out in like the Cliff Notes version of it. It's pretty cool, and it is pretty much everything in the book. I mean, it goes in depth. It goes in depth in here and explains it better, but if you don't have the time, that's not a bad place to start. But it's really helpful. I mean, it's focused on teams and like a big problem, but you can apply it to your own stuff. And just you think of like how they went about solving the problem, not exactly their process. I thought that was really helpful. Obviously, we found like personal development and how important it is, but I didn't realize how like really important it was until I saw myself personally developing and I don't know, growing not only like professionally but spiritually and in my relationships. Learning how to more effectively interact with others, learning what a good team member looks like. Before I kind of believed in the boss-employee structure, but now everyone being a team member working towards a common goal and effectively motivating others by being an example is most interesting to me now. Like a servant leader. If everyone could serve and lead together, then it'd be hard not to accomplish whatever you're trying to do. And I think that's really cool. And yeah, I mean, there's endless biblical evidence for the things that you see in these personal development books. I mean, there might not be a scripture in here with the topic or the whatever, but it's all tied in. Like it all makes sense. Like at Coke, we have our guiding principles, and it makes total sense if you're a believer and you have faith, because we found out that benefiting others and treating them the way they would love to be treated is the best way to benefit ourselves, and Scripture the best way to love or to get love and to just live in prosperity and all that is to give love and to buzzwords, but, like I said, I listen to books on mowers all the time, and that was the best thing I ever did. And I might not remember everything from every book, but, it's more of like a heart change thing. I'm mentally changing as I'm listening to good, influential things. And, these are just the two most recent ones I've listened to, and they're both on, Audible,
Yep.
so you have no excuse.
Good
not to
plug.
listen to it.
Good plug for that. How might someone find these books, Caleb?
So I expect a 150 report on it. No, I like them, I enjoyed them, there's a lot of other good stuff on there. But yeah. And then also like, there's little devotional things. I finally use the Bible app on my phone. Like I was telling Jeff, before, I mean, if I didn't need my Bible, I would just open my Bible. But at work and stuff, I'll take like bathroom breaks, and I'll go bathroom, I'll like be on my Bible app. And I've got like little devotionals you can do. So I'm not in the bathroom for like 20 minutes, but I mean, like 5 minutes I can read something. But learning how to pray effectively has been really helpful for me. How to make it a relationship thing and not.
No thing,
What?
more of a no thing, when you
Yeah.
know God.
Yeah. Yeah, just learning how to do it. I couldn't tell you very in depth how that happens, but being open to it, knowing that nothing is too big for God, nothing is too like bad or tainted for God. He's in everything and knows everything. If you have a problem, he knows about it first, but he wants to hear about it. I don't know. That's just some stuff I've been learning and thinking about. Hopefully some stuff something.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much. So Caleb hit on probably the most, I'd say if you could only do one thing, it's read books. All right, if you ask any successful person in the world, you say, hey, how did you become successful? And they'll take my word for it. They'll say, hey, you want to be a leader, you got to be a reader. All right, all the successful people, they are book fanatics. All right, and this is a great way to fill your mind with good stuff, just like Caleb said. Now, where it gets really powerful is when you read it and then you can discuss it with somebody, all right? When you have kind of a community of people to kind of do it together. So like what we're doing right here is a huge part of that. So it's the getting in the right information, but then it's also having somebody who can kind of be with you and kind of like help you grow with that. So that's kind of my transition to, I'm just gonna do a short little interview with Matthew and share a bit about, Matt, your relationship with your business coach and kind of mentor. So that's kind of our goal for each of you, is that we'd have somebody in our life who is dedicated to seeing you grow. All right, no matter who you are. Tiger Woods, back when he was the best golfer in the world, he had a coach. All right, Steph Curry, he has a coach. You know, LeBron James, he has a coach whose name is LeBron James. All right, but you know, most people, no matter how good you are, all right, you submit yourself to a coach. All right, and so Matt's done that, and so I'm just gonna ask you kind of a few questions about how that's worked for you. So first of all, why don't you share with kind of who you're meeting with, and then like just kind of logistically, what does that look like? How often? Kind of what do you guys do? Stuff like that.
Yeah, so my mentor, his name's Ray Dorsett. Joe introduced me to him. It was kind of a first free connection because he goes to the same church I do. And at that time, I was kind of interested in exploring film because I was just really fascinated by the whole process. And Ray Dorsett actually started his own film company overseas. Since then, he sold it though. But they did a lot of documentaries and stuff like that. So that was a great connection there, because he was just able to give me a lot of advice. He had some connections and stuff like that with certain people that were still doing film, so there were internship opportunities that I looked into. Usually we'll meet once or twice a month, usually at a restaurant. I know he actually likes Slim Chickens a lot, so we'll actually go there, meet up. we'll either grab a bite to eat or we'll just grab a table already there. And it usually just kind of starts out, just like regular friend, not necessarily coach at first, because we just kind of find out what each other's been up to, just kind of how the family and all that's doing. And then from there, I usually have a general topic of discussion. Usually when I call him up, it's because I have some questions for him over something. So in the past, we talked about just like majors within college, different career paths, all that stuff. So that's usually, like, after the small talk stuff, we usually get into some of the topics like that. And it's been really beneficial to me. He actually helped me kind of, he gave me a lot of good advice that led to me choosing a different major. So I'm a marketing major now, and a management minor. And he just gave me a lot of good advice and helped me get to that point. Like I kind of previewed before, he has a lot of great connections, so he's been able to introduce me to a lot of people that share similar career interests, and I've already gone pretty deep into those different fields. So it's been great kind of talking with other people too and seeing what they have to say about those different career options. And then finally, just having someone that's older and that's lived such a long life and just really has a lot of advice and wisdom to share. It's been really great too.
Well, I had a bunch of questions to ask you, but you kind of answered them all right there, Matt, which is so good, dude. So good. So here's a couple things that I just kind of wrote down as Matt was talking. One is finding somebody in your church is one of the best ways to do that. If you guys are connected with a Bible-believing church that has godly older men and women, that's a great place to start. If not, outside your church is great as well. What I love about what Matt said is, does Ray call you or do you call him?
Every time I've called him.
You call him, because here's the deal. It is amazing how many older people want to share their wisdom and serve younger people, and how arrogant most younger people are. Us young people, we think we know it all, but we don't, all right? And so they are giving you their time. They're not getting paid. Your gift to them is that glorious feeling of, like, think about this. Most successful people have spoiled rich kids who don't listen to them, okay? So, like, you can be that humble, teachable person in their life, right? So Matt calling Ray and saying, hey, Ray, I'd love to get together. I've got a few questions I'd really like your advice on. That's the payment that he expects. And Matt's doing a great job. I love talking with Ray, and Ray's like, man, I love Matt. Things are going great. We're learning, we're growing, and it's super fun. So good job, Matt, taking the initiative. And then also always coming prepared with a few questions, all right? There shouldn't be any homework on their side, all right? They might have homework afterwards, but you want to come ready to ask your questions and all the rest. So it's a good job. Matt, I would imagine that your first couple meetings, though, may have been a little awkward. Tell me about that. How was that kind of building the relationship, phase?
Yeah, so first time we met, Joe was there too.
Oh, that's fine. It's
Yeah. Just kind of as a kind of transition, introduce, all that stuff. And so, I mean, it was a little bit different because, I mean, it's not entirely normal for a teenager to, just go to lunch with an older guy like that, But I guess from that aspect, it could be a little awkward, but just Ray's personality, all that, just really nice guy, genuine, made it pretty easy transition from awkward to just totally normal.
I would imagine as you're going, it just seems more and more natural and
Yeah,
better and
absolutely.
better. Yeah, that's great. Well, I know several of you guys have those relationships already. I know that Alec and Braden have been hanging out with a guy named Jake, and you ought to only have one person too. You can work and get a lot of different inputs, and so we just really want to emphasize that and encourage that for all you guys. So Matt, thanks for being a good example there. All right, well, I've got just a few minutes, and every chance I get, I like to yak at you guys a little bit. So as we think about this year, as we think about kind of the goals and vision of this year, is this summer, through, let's say, October, November, we're just trying to break as many things as possible. We want to nail the model. We want to get the model right, refine the system, and then coming this fall, we're going to sic Braden on the whole city of Wichita. And he's going to go hard after doubling the number of students. So say we've got 11. In order to serve the whole city of Wichita, we need to have about 24 independent student business owners, okay? Now with that, each, probably half of those are going to have an apprentice at one given time, all right? So our goal is to service the whole city of Wichita within the next 2 years, but this fall, we're looking to double, all right? So again, we're at the ground floor of what we hope is going to be a big thing that's going to help a lot of people, all right? So what we need you guys to do is document, listen, learn everything that doesn't work quite as well as we think it could. We need to take notes, we need to share it together, we need to get emails, we need to document stuff as much as we can so that we get the book right when we get there this fall, all right? Also, you guys, as recruiters, looking for people, always looking for people who might be a good fit, all right? So as we think about things that, like we're trying to break things, one thing that I've learned that I just like to share is, as a business owner, some of us have learned this the hard way, but there is a lot of risk involved, okay? So Peter mentioned this too. When you're an employee, your risk is very low. But Caleb, as they teach us at Cope, with low risk, there's probably low what? Reward. There's low reward. With high risk, there's often going to be higher reward. Risk and reward are inseparable. Now, do we just want to be foolish and, bet the farm or go to the casinos? Absolutely not, all right? Entrepreneurs are actually very calculated and wise risk takers, all right? But a couple of things, I'm just going to share 3 examples of things that we've learned this summer in terms of like bad things that have happened, all right? I'm not going to name any names, but we've had somebody who, as they were working, they hit a rock and they broke a window. And windows in cars cost about $400. As an employee, it's like, hey, no big deal, I'm making $8 an hour, boss, you can pay for that. As a business owner, that's on you, okay? So we got to be very, 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 very careful, all right? Also with that, we need to think through, as you're thinking through your cost structure, make sure you guys include that risk level in there, okay? You guys are servant-hearted, good folks, but make sure you're factoring in, hey, the reason why we say on lawn care we're bidding $50 an hour, why we say on window washing we're bidding $35 an hour, the reason why we say on gutter cleaning we're bidding $40 to $50 an hour, is because there are those risks and costs associated there, okay? That's one. So hit a window, all right? We've gotten in a car accident, which those are expensive as well, and then we've gotten a weed eater stolen. So there's all of these things. So one lesson could be learned is, if you want to have low risk, you could do window washing. So we haven't had any of that on the window washing side yet. But there are risks associated, all right? Or have you had
No,
some
it's just,
lessons?
we're very, very careful. That's it.
Yeah, because there's things that can go wrong there too. You can spill water while you're cleaning and ruin carpet. You can scratch glass. You can, yeah, absolutely. So just being very careful and also just kind of budgeting for that, all right? We're human beings, all right? So like, we're going to screw up, all right? But we'll want to try to be as careful as we can. So one is risk. Let's see here. Last thing I wrote, I heard just an incredible comment about the essence of first class service. So that is what we're promising. If the people in this room, if we're just average, it's never going to work. It's never going to work because we have, people like college students and high school students, they have a very high cool factor but a very low trust factor. And it's been amazing how many older businessmen have said, it won't work. College students can't be trusted. It's like, well, you don't know our college students. They are trustworthy. They do great work. They do first-class service. But a real simple way I heard it described is that first-class service is just being a person of your word. Just being a person of your word. Hey, I'm going to be there on Friday, and you be there on Friday. It's making somebody feel like $1 million. It's being on time, doing the work you promise. It's simply being a person of your word. All right? It's amazing how simple that can actually be. Then looking for the way to make the person feel like $1 million. And it's amazing how we've done that with so many students. The last thing there, and this is where it really gets, I think this is an easy transition between the physical work and the spiritual life that we're all living. Caleb's a big self-help guy, and there's amazing stuff out there in the self-help world that I've learned from, and most of those guys are goal setting, and this, and this, and this. But you know what the world doesn't have? The world does not have a mechanism to truly deal with failure. I mean, they talk about it, of just like, oh, just get back up and go again. But think about it. When you do your best and you fail, you can do two things. Here's what most people do, is two things. One is they are in denial. They won't look in the mirror. They say, oh, no, I didn't really fail. I'm just fine. That's one. Or two is, oh, I'm a failure. Mom and Dad told me I couldn't do it, and they were right. Or, yeah, I've never been an A-team player. I'm just going to be a failure again here. It's usually either pride or it's despair. But those of us who have been saved by the blood of Jesus, we have the perfect entrepreneur, the perfect business owner on our team. All right? Jesus Christ, the Son of God, was a business owner. All right? He perfectly obeyed the Father. He perfectly served his customers. He always kept his word. And he did that, and then he went to the cross, and he paid for all of our screw-ups, all right? Every time we lie, every time that we are selfish, every time that we're just foolish, Christ has paid for that on the cross. And so when we fail, we can look at Christ's perfection. But when we succeed and we're thinking, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, we have to have the humility to say, you know what? I'm such a screw-up that God's own Son had to die on my behalf. The perfect man had to die on my behalf. The perfect business owner had to come in there and take my screw-ups, all right? So our goal is first-class service, but those of us who are in Christ, we can work from a place of rest, all right? We can work from a place of rest because Jesus has already done the work for us, all right? And we get to joyfully follow in his footsteps. It's like the little 4-year-old kid who goes with his dad to work, all right? He's like, yeah, I got my lunch pail, and I'm following behind Dad, and, are they actually doing a whole lot? Not really. But they get to be on their dad's team. Their dad welcomes them along to do work with them. That's the story of the Christian life as we run our businesses, and we're just following the steps of our dad, the Lord Jesus, who did that perfectly on our behalf. So, again, high standard, first class. But when you mess up, we humbly say, yeah, that was me. I'm going to make that right. Not to embarrass you, Camille, but you've had 2 or 3 opportunities where you just nailed that. So Camille's got, 40 customers that you're taking care of on the regular, something like that? That's 40 people that she has to keep happy. And old people are not easy to keep happy, all right? And she's batting like 95%. Like, it's like once a month somebody's not happy. But 95% are thrilled. All right, I've seen her several times, like, old man calls, hey, I think you didn't do something quite right. She's there like the next day. Hey, I'm here. How can I help? How can I learn? All right? So just shout out to Camille. Thank you for that. We're seeing that across the organization, so keep that up. All right. Any just kind of comments in terms of anything we're missing before we let you guys go?
Wait, yeah, can I talk
Please.
real quick?
Please.
Yeah, so when I put this, start all the social media stuff, if you guys could kind of help, promote that and make it known, kind of through your stuff, I'm gonna try to really, individualize it to you guys. Yeah, I'll give you two my business card. If you could just, send me your schedule on a text or email, just whatever works.
Yeah, that's huge. Thank you, Brent. I had that written down, but I missed it. Guys, this is the time. So, Braden, when do you need to have your footage?
As soon as,
in
just
the
kind of
next
as soon
10
as we
days?
can get.
In the next
Yeah,
week?
probably the next week I'd like to have, maybe a week and a half, probably try to get all my footage done.
Okay.
And then we can get the voiceovers recorded. I'd like to have the videos done within 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, good. Okay. So, let's see. Moses and Matt, you have footage of so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Camille and Caleb and Alec, if we could find some time, preferably this week.
Yeah, and it's not, I at the minimum, like one more lawn care person, and then I really need a gutter cleaner.
My house, yes, excellent, it needs it. You can call Isaac to be your sidekick.
Yeah.
Okay. And Paul, yes, yes. Just make sure you all have your polos on for the video camera. That's good. And, what's that? He doesn't, yeah,
Come to our house, we have extras.
that's true. Andrew can get you some, there's a stash downstairs, so.
With the internship for the window washing, have
Yes.
you gotten anybody, or we'll find out that?
Yeah, so we had 2 students apply, both for window washing, and youth entrepreneurs, they're